be seated. Students, family members, friends, faculty, staff, welcome to the 2015 Carlson School of Management Graduate Commencement Ceremony. Before we begin, I wish to acknowledge some special individuals, many of whom have guided you through what I hope has been a life-changing experience. Please hold your applause and we'll recognize all of these honored guests together. I extend a special welcome to our distinguished colleague from our China Executive MBA program, Professor Yanming Wang. In addition, I welcome the Honorable Regent Laura Broad, representing the University of Minnesota Board of Regents, and Professor Al Levine, Vice Provost for Faculty and Academic Affairs. Our keynote speaker, John Stumpf, Chairman, President, and CEO of Wells Fargo and Company. Associate Dean for Faculty and Research, Alok Gupta. Representing the MBA programs, Associate Dean Stephen Parenti and Assistant Dean Phil Miller. Representing Global Initiatives, Associate Dean Michael Houston and Assistant Dean Andy Angelo. Professor Sean Curley, Director of Graduate Studies for the Doctor of Philosophy, Business Administration. Professor Avner Ben-Nur, Director of Graduate Studies, and Stacy Deppner-Hove, Director, Master of Arts in Human Resources and Industrial Relations. Professor Geddes Adomavicius, Academic Director, Master of Science in Business Analytics. Larry Callio, Director of Graduate Studies, Master of Accountancy. Paul Guterman, Director of Graduate Studies, Master of Business Taxation. Tim Hipsch, President-elect of the Carlson Alumni Board, and the distinguished faculty of the Carlson School of Management. Let's give a round of applause to the special group. Without them, today would not have been possible. I would also like to recognize another group who was equally critical to the success of today's graduates, but who often get overlooked: the family and friends of our students. The support network you have provided your loved one during their studies made their success and the degree they are receiving today possible. You deserve to share in the celebration today, and you deserve a round of applause right now. Yes, today truly is one of celebration, a day on which we honor the tireless effort and scholarly achievements of the past years and dream about the future that your labor will bear. But whether you choose to pursue a career in business, form your own venture, lead a nonprofit, or continue with your studies, the degree you earned and will receive today has you poised to truly create a brighter future. For most, that future means leaving the Carlson School after this ceremony. But rest assured, the Carlson School will not be leaving you. As alumni of our school, you have just become part of a powerful entity comprised of the more than 53,000 who came before you, a global force that reaches across 95 countries, has chapters in San Francisco, Seattle, New York, Chicago, Denver, Boston, London, Warsaw, Hong Kong, Shanghai, not to mention within numerous companies, yet still maintains a strong connection from whence it came. Carlson School alumni are accomplishing amazing feats across the globe, while at the same time ensuring that the next generation of leaders being shaped in Minnesota has the same opportunities offered to them. They mentor our students. They provide experiential learning opportunities. They invest both their time and their financial resources in our progress. They realize that the value of their degree is not fixed, rather it appreciates with proper stewardship. Graduates, I hope you will follow their lead. In appreciation, know that we will always be there to assist you in your continued pursuits in any way we can. Class of 2015, on behalf of the University of Minnesota and the faculty and staff of the Carlson School, please accept my sincere congratulations. We are incredibly proud of what you have already achieved and look forward to all that you will accomplish in the future. Our commencement speaker today is not your typical chief executive. I don't say that because of the size of the company he leads, although Wells Fargo is the world's largest bank by market value, and its 265,000 team members serve 1 out of every 3 Americans in some fashion as the nation's largest mortgage, auto, agricultural, energy, and small business lender. Nor is what sets John Stumpf apart from other leaders the 100-plus deals he'd made in his career, including orchestrating one of the largest and most successful bank mergers in history when Wells Fargo acquired Wachovia in 2008. What makes John Stumpf remarkable aren't the honors or accolades he's earned over his career, such as being named the 50 most influential by Bloomberg Markets in 2012, or American Banker's Banker of the Year in 2013. And it's not that he takes personal responsibility for diversity at Wells Fargo. It's not just that. Chairing its Diversity Council and requiring all managers who report to him to mentor an employee from a traditionally underrepresented group. It's not even that under John Stumpf's leadership, Wells Fargo was America's most generous company in cash donations in 2012 and number 2 in 2013, according to the Chronicle of Philanthropy. So what is it? What sets our commencement speaker apart from so many of today's leaders? The reason I believe that John Stumpf is a truly outstanding leader and such an inspiration to me and to so many others is that despite moving all around the country on his journey to become the president, CEO, and chairman of one of the largest, most influential, and most respected companies in the world, John Stumpf never left home. For those of you who may not know, John grew up on a farm about 100 miles north of here in Pierce, Minnesota. One of 11 children, he climbed out of bed, the bed he shared with his 2 brothers, at 4:30 each morning to pick eggs before school. He'd return afterward to milk the cows. Although he did not shine academically in high school and spent his first year after graduation as a bread maker at the Sanitary Bakery in his hometown, he recognized the value of higher education and enrolled at St. Cloud State. John worked hard, finished his degree, headed down Interstate 94, and started his career in banking on the ground floor. Actually, in John's case, it wasn't the ground floor. John began in the basement at First Bank in St. Paul, gathering information on car loans that were in arrears. He learned a lot about bad loans as a repo man and quickly worked his way up at First Bank. Looking to get ahead in his career, John started spending his nights and weekends right here on this very campus, earning his MBA degree, something that changed his life, as he would later tell the Financial Times. Not long after graduating from the U, John made the jump to Norwest Corporation, now Wells Fargo, where he has been for more than 33 years. He was named Wells Fargo's CEO in 2007 and became its chairman in 2010. The lessons he learned on the farm have stayed with him the entire time. He still gets up at 4:30, although I don't think he has any chickens or cows to tend to. And while many who reach the pinnacle, as John has, tend to focus on the individual, he still emphasizes the team. John says he learned the value of plural nouns, us, we, and ours, growing up on the farm. There wasn't a lot of time for I, me, and my. John and his wife Ruth, whom he has known since they were in 3rd grade, have been married 40 years this month. They return to Minnesota and Pierce on a regular basis, and we couldn't be more pleased to have him home with us today. Graduates of the Carlson School and guests, please join me in giving a rousing Minnesota welcome to one of our most respected and distinguished alumni, Mr. John Stumpf.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Wow, that was quite an introduction. In fact, that might be the second best one I've ever heard. I was in Texas last week. The guy didn't show up, so I did it myself. But next to that, that was fabulous. I sat in your seat 35 years ago this month. My first emotion was absolute relief. I was done. And I do not recall the commencement speaker's name. I do not recall the commencement speaker's message. I recall he was too long. I will hope this will not be memorable. I wish my commencement speaker had told me 3 things about what I should expect, and I'm going to share those 3 secrets with you. One is going to be about the changing world in which I had lived in and you will live in. I will talk for a few minutes about the journey of learning, and I'm going to talk about building a career. As Dean Sahir said, I grew up on a farm with 11 brothers and sisters, and I remember milking cows with my dad. And I was talking with him about what he experienced in his lifetime. He's 93 years old, he's still in great health, and I remember him telling me about the first time they saw an airplane fly over his hometown. Everybody came out, the church bells rang, half the people thought it was a John Deere airplane because it was green. They still believe it's a John Deere. He told me about the first time they had a radio on their farm. They would listen to a program called Fibber, McGee, and Molly on Saturday nights at 8 o'clock. The only time they used it, they didn't want to waste the battery. He talked about the first car he saw. And I envied him, thinking that everything that was going to be invented already had been invented. He lived in the greatest generation. There'd be nothing left to invent in my generation. In fact, when my colleagues, my classmates got ready for this event 35 years ago in 1980, we would have done the following things. We would have made sure we went down to the drugstore and picked up some Kodak film and loaded it in our cameras and knew where we could take it for processing after the event. We would have driven here, locked our cars, rolled up the windows, and locked the car with the second key. The ignition key did not work. When's the last time you put a second key into your car handle and locked the door? We would have called the movie theater to see what was showing and what times, in case any of our parents who were in town wanted to go see a movie with us. We would have made sure that we put enough water in the ice tray in our refrigerator, the freezer part, so there'd be ice when we came home after the event to make sure our pop was cold or something else that you would drink. In 1980, the most valuable company in the New York Stock Exchange was IBM. Today, they're not in the top 10. The top market cap company today was a garage find in 1980. Apple Computer. Apple was not a public company when I graduated. In the state of Minnesota, the most valuable company in 1980 when I graduated was 3M. Today, it's a company that wasn't invented in 1980. It's United Healthcare, and they're number 1 by some big distance. They only went public in 1984. In 1980, if somebody would have told me about Uber, and Google and tweeting and Apple Pay and log on and log out and icons and social media, I wouldn't have a clue what you were talking about. In fact, some words you use all the time, I still don't understand. In my day, when something was blowing up, that was a bad thing. Now, when things are blowing up, I care, and it's a good thing. If somebody would say, "You're sick," I'd go see a doctor. You think that's good, you're sick. You use the word dog. Somebody call you a dog, that'd be terrible. If I'd say, "What up, Dean Dog?" I'd be saying, "How you doing, Dean?" So the world has changed. One of you will be at this lectern, this podium, 35 years from today, and you'll be addressing the class of 2050. And you will say possibly the following: remember when we had passwords? Remember when we had to charge our cell phones? We had to plug them in? Remember when we used to put gas in our cars? Remember we used to write checks? Remember we had a piece of plastic called a credit card? Why have a card? So the world is changing at an increasing pace. I was in Silicon Valley last week with one of the large technology companies, and their lead engineer told me that we have experienced the first 5 minutes of a year of technological change. So I'm going to hearken back and leave you with one saying by Ben Franklin that's now 250 years old. When you're finished changing, you're finished. Don't ever finish changing. Be part of change, adopt it, be a change agent. The second thing I'm going to leave you with is the journey of learning. 35 years ago, I had my MBA, and I thought that the world should come and discover me. I was so darn smart and so full of knowledge. If they would just come and find me, the world would be a lot better place. And I did not know at the time the difference between knowledge and wisdom. There's a fairly infamous British poet who said the following: "Knowing a tomato is a fruit is knowledge. Wisdom is knowing it does not belong in a fruit salad." So the key here is wisdom. I know lots of smart people who say perfectly stupid things all the time. In fact, common sense is not all that common. And the way you get experience on your journey to wisdom is you make mistakes. Experience is just a good word for mistakes. Fall in love with mistakes. Find them, share them, don't repeat them, and learn from others' mistakes. You're not going to live old enough to make all of them yourself. And also, learning never ends. I was in a taxi cab about 1.5 years ago in New York City, and I learned some of my best lessons from taxi drivers. This taxi driver, I could tell, was not from the US. It was not his birth country. And he told me he speaks 6 or 7 languages. And he said the following to me: if you speak 3 languages, you are trilingual. If you speak 2 languages, you are bilingual. If you speak 1 language, you are an American. So I decided, ich studiere Deutsch schon seit 7 Monaten. Es ist sehr schwer für mich, aber ich werde versuchen. I started learning German at age 60. And I realized a whole bunch of important things. First of all, I'm learning English by studying German. I didn't know what the nominative case, the accusative case, the dative case. I was looking at girls during junior high school. I had no time for languages. I learned the appreciation for those who come here, and English is not your first language. But most of all, it's helped me in so many other ways, just pursuing, learning, and falling in love with that. Let me end by talking about career. Most of you here, especially in the executive program, already work for companies. Those of you who are freshly minted will be out joining a company, starting your own business. I think careers are uniquely three-legged stools. Number one, work for a company that shares your values. Life is too short to be something at home and be something else at work. If you're an us person, us, we, and ours, work for an us, we, and ours company. If you're I, me, and my person, work for one of those kind of companies. Secondly, work for a boss that gives you the real stuff. We all like to be told how great we are. We actually grow from learning where we can be better. I remember in the winter of 1982, I had been working for the company just for a few months, and every time I would have an opportunity or be asked to speak in front of a group of people, I would conveniently be absent that day. My aunt died for the second time. Cows needed to be milked. I had to go back home. My dad couldn't milk that day. Finally, one day, the person I worked for who cared about me walked into my cubicle and said, "Gotcha." He said, "You don't like speaking in front of people." And I went red from my gray hair down to my toes. And he said, next to the fear of snakes, dying, and heights, fear of speaking is right up there. Nothing to be embarrassed about. It's in the top 5. He said, if you want to progress in this company, you have to be able to share your thoughts in a lucid, honest, and compelling way. Fix it. So I joined Toastmasters. I'll never forget my first Toastmasters meeting. It was in early November 1982. I was living in Arden Hills. I caught a bus, got to someplace on University in Snelling, switched buses, went to Minneapolis, and met 80 people in the club I'd never met before. The meeting starts, and the person in charge, the head of the club, said, "We have a new member today, John Stumpf." I didn't understand the term extemporaneous speaking, meaning we're going to scare the crap out of you. So they said, "John Stumpf, stand up and tell us in 3 minutes how you're going to help your wife prepare the turkey for Thanksgiving." I stood up, and it was 3 minutes of being at the dentist with no Novocaine. It was painful. I was sweating, and I was umming and awing, just pure torture. And I could hear every time I said or ah, a bell went off, a little bell. At the end of 3 minutes, I was wiped out. I had been through a triathlon. I slumped in my chair, and the club president asked the timekeeper, "How many times did Mr. Stumpf say or ah in his talk?" They said 62, an all-time record for the club. If you have listened at all this morning, I rarely say or ah. I never read a speech, because if I hear an or an ah, a bell goes off in the back of my head. If I can't think of the next thing to say, I simply wait for a second till I collect my thoughts and I proceed. That was a person who really cared about me. And the final thing is, invest in yourself. A week and a half ago, I attended Warren Buffett's 50th annual meeting, anniversary of his 50th meeting, first time I ever gone. Warren Buffett is the largest owner in Wells Fargo. He owns about 10% through Berkshire Hathaway. And he responded to a young person's question about investing and said, and this is the best investor the world's ever known, he said, invest in yourself. There is no better investment. And of course, all of you are doing that today. Before I leave the podium, I want to talk just for a couple seconds very personally about the University of Minnesota. You are all bright, learned, and I can tell already you make great decisions. To have a degree here from the University of Minnesota puts you in an elite group, and it makes you part of my family. We are now alumni. And I'm pro-education. I like great grade schools. I like great high schools. I like great technical colleges. I like great two-year schools. I like great Big Ten schools. I like great Pac East schools. I like all of them. But there's something very special here at the University of Minnesota. There's something special about this part of the world. I've lived and worked here in Denver, Colorado, in San Antonio, Texas. Now I live in San Francisco, California. Not only do you learn great technical skills here, you also learn other valuable lessons like values and vision and compassion and sharing and telling the truth and ethics and humility. And that will carry you a long way. In San Francisco, the largest corporation in the city, and there's lots of them, by market cap, is Wells Fargo. It's led by a U of M grad. You might say, well, that's the exception to the rule. Well, I'm exceptionally average. Any one of you could do that. The largest corporation in San Francisco by revenue is McKesson Corporation. They do $179 billion of revenue annually. They're in the wholesale drug business. The CEO is John Hammergren from Alexandria, Minnesota, and a University of Minnesota grad. The most famous studio in California, and there are lots of them, with destination resorts is Disney. Their new chief operating officer, last year's commencement speaker, Tom Skaggs, is from the Twin Cities, and he's a University of Minnesota graduate. So the possibilities for you are limitless, whatever you do. There are University of Minnesota Golden Gophers holding down the fort on forts all across this country and all across this world. And there's something special about this part of the world. And it's to do with this idea of humility and ethics. Garrison Keillor said that Jesus said, "The meek shall inherit the earth," but so far all we've gotten is Minnesota and North Dakota. But the humility I want to talk about is Golden Gopher humility. And it's not thinking less of yourself, but it's thinking of yourself less. Let me repeat that. Golden Gopher humility is not thinking less about yourself, it's thinking about yourself less. There's something special that this school does for all of us to make us better people, more productive members of society, and I want to congratulate you for all that you've done. Thank you, and thank you for all of you who are loved ones of the graduates.
Thank you, John, for your thoughts on the changing world we live in and for sharing some values from your Minnesota roots. We are very, very proud of having you as one of our alumni. The Carlson School is fortunate to enroll many academically talented students At this time, the Carlson School faculty is proud to recognize the graduates who have earned the designation of Carlson Scholar. Will the graduates wearing maroon and gold cords please stand? This designation it's based on a grade point average of 3.85 or higher. These students represent the highest level of academic achievement across the Carlson School of Management. Please join me in recognizing their accomplishments, and thank you. We've applauded already, so you may be seated. It's now my pleasure to welcome Brad Horace, candidate for the Master of Business Administration degree from our full-time MBA program. He has been selected as the student speaker on behalf of the graduate class of 2015.
Thank you to the families, guests, and distinguished faculty for joining us today. As well, thank you to our keynote speaker and alumnus, Mr. John Stumpf, Chairman and CEO of Wells Fargo & Company. It's a particular honor to have you, sir, considering you recently announced a generous gift to each graduate here today of one full-size Wells Fargo wagon filled with shiny new band instruments for all of the town's children, plus a bonus sack of gold coins. At least that's what it says on Wikipedia right now. But I'm sure your people will fix it right before deactivating my credit card today. I'm kidding, of course. My card is with US Bank. You can't hurt me, Stumpf. Lastly, eternal thanks to the Dinkytown Cathedral of Brunch, Al's Breakfast, Matt Van Susteren's mom, and of course, the class of 2015. A quick, weird aside before we start. To the political campaign professionals watching this speech many years from now in the future, trying to dig up dirt, I just want to assert that my future opponent is wrong on the issues and wrong for America. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to get back to listening to Shake It Off by Taylor Swift on my iPhone 5. So here we are, class of 2K15. There are myriad different paths we've all taken to arrive at this confluence together. Our disciplines are varied: MBA, PhD, MBT, NPV, HRIR, OPP, MSBA, MSNBC, and MACC. I think there were some extra letters in there, but the point is that we represent a diverse alphabet soup of knowledge, and this is valuable. Always seek to collaborate and leverage each other's skills. It is impossible to know everything. Our nationalities are varied as well. We have global executive MBAs who've studied at our partner schools in Austria and China. Willkommen, Huan Ying, welcome. To my fellow graduates who've traveled from all over the world to study in the US, new ideas and drive brought here by people like you is what has enabled many extraordinary accomplishments in this country's short history. Thank you for contributing to our melting pot of cultures. Taking any exam at Carlson was always a humbling experience, no matter what program you were in. The only thing you'd know for certain is that you are benchmarked against your classmates. An academic Mongol horde comprised entirely of students who've spent years severely messing up the curve for everybody else. Stop it. You're graduating, you don't have to do that anymore. Serious theme number one, and there's only two. With our education comes metamorphosis. We will step into increased power and responsibility. It may happen gradually and imperceptibly, or you may already be there, but we will be trusted with decisions whose ripple effects may deeply impact others. Others who are not numbers, but human beings with joys and struggles no different than our own. Treat this privilege with the highest degree of respect and care. We now also join the alumni community of the Carlson School. We are all closely linked and represent each other in our work and actions. Personally and professionally, we should strive to be giving with our resources, knowledge, and time. Whether we came to switch or accelerate in our careers, our spell here has been a time of growth and transformation. Personally, before B School, I was half man, half horse, trapped as a liminal being inside the body of a centaur, but look at me now. Thank you, Carlson. On behalf of the graduates, I would like to recognize the friends and family gathered here today and those who could not be with us. It's the support of partners, kids, siblings, parents, extended family, and friends that have given us something to lean on during many long hours and late nights. A special thanks as well to our pets, especially when they're being such a good boy. I speak for all of us when I only scratch the surface of our gratitude with thank you. The second and final theme is about what we value. In finance, the value of anything is the present value of all future cash flows discounted back at the appropriate risk-adjusted discount rate. Many things, however, just can't be quantified. Support and nurture that which helps us connect with what it is to be human. Without cultural institutions, art, nature, music, and many more things, our world would become very bleak indeed. No one on their deathbed wishes they had done more for shareholders instead of the people and community around them. So when I got on the highway this morning in my Ferrari, it occurred to me the open road we face may seem overwhelming. Ferrari, by the way, is the name of my sweet '98 Volvo wagon. But don't feel overwhelmed. Just take it one step at a time. We've all been there. You wake up, grab coffee, and before you know it, you have to choose an accounting method to calculate your cost of goods sold. Do you go with weighted average cost, FIFO, LIFO? Personally, I prefer YOLO. But in all seriousness, if you are at a graduation party tonight and it starts to get out of hand, please remember to invite me. My number is 612-789-0030. To sum up, here are my sincere hopes for our graduating class. May we stay current with academic papers being published on corporate social responsibility. No one's going to do that, so instead, read The Lorax by Dr. Seuss and do what is right, even when it isn't popular. Lastly, I hope that we never lose sight of the things in life we truly find meaningful, recognize the humility with which others have supported us, and pay it forward with openness and generosity as much as we're able. On that note, Mr. Stumpf, sorry about before, but I understand you occasionally play bridge online against the likes of Warren Buffett and Bill Gates. If you need a partner sometime, I'm offering $50 for table stakes. That's 50. I have the cash. To the class of 2015, do good things. Congratulations.
Thank you, Brad. At this time, I'd like to begin the presentation of degrees. Our graduates will likely recognize those who are about to read their names, but I'd like to take a moment to introduce them to the entire audience. Reading names today are Robin Wick, Director, Carlson Executive MBA Program, Patrick McCarthy, Director of Student Affairs, Full-Time and Part-Time MBA Program, Eric Luo, Executive Director, China Executive MBA Program, will be reading the names for the China Global Executive MBA Program. Manfred Buckner, Program Manager, Vienna Global Executive Program, will be reading the names for the Vienna Global Executive MBA Program. I invite Regent Broad and Professor Sean Curley, Director of Graduate Studies for the Doctoral Program in Business Administration, to join me on stage for the presentation of our candidates for the Doctor of Philosophy degree in Business Administration. Will all of the candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy come forward as directed by the marshals?
Regent Broad, Dean Zahir, on behalf of the faculty, the Carlson School presents the 2015 candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Business Administration. George Ball, Faculty Advisor, Rachna Shah, Department of Supply Chain and Operations. Wen Chan, Faculty Advisor, Pervin Shroff, Department of Accounting. Patty Dom, Faculty Advisor, Teresa Glom, Department of Work and Organizations. Suvra Danokar, Faculty Advisor, Kevin Linderman, Department of Supply Chain and Operations. Amanda Heights, Faculty Advisor, John Boyd, Department of Finance, being hooded by Tracy Wong. Florence Honore, Faculty Advisors Martin Ganko and Harry Sapienza, Department of Strategic Management and Entrepreneurship. Stephen Jones, Faculty Advisor Andy Van de Ven, Department of Strategic Management and Entrepreneurship, being hooded by Harry Sapienza. Sumi Jung, Faculty Advisor, Pervin Shroff, Department of Accounting. Ribuga Kong, Faculty Advisor, Ax Zahir, Strategic Management and Entrepreneurship, being hooded by Asim Kal and Harry Sapienza. Shaolin Lee, Faculty Advisor, George John, Department of Marketing. Shi-On Meng, Faculty Advisor, Michelle Duffy, Department of Work and Organizations. Ujjal Mukherjee, Faculty Advisor, KK Sinha, Department of Supply Chain and Operations. Yajin Wang, Faculty Advisor, Deborah John, Department of Marketing. Chien Yoon Shia, Faculty Advisor, John Budd, Department of Work and Organizations. Tiao Young, Faculty Advisor, Teresa Glom, Department of Work and Organizations. Handa Sohn, Faculty Advisor, Raj Singh, Department of Finance.
Will the candidates for the degree of Master of Business Administration from the full-time program please come forward as directed by the marshals? At this time, the Carlson School invites Professor Stephen Parenti, Associate Dean for MBA programs, to the certificate table for the presentation of degrees. Regent Broad, Dean Zahir. On behalf of the faculty, the Carlson School presents the 2015 candidates for the degree of Master of Business Administration from the full-time program. Amit Agarwal. Aditi Anathakrishnan. Sam Bavir. Jason Borboom. Matthew Bourne. Spencer Broughton. Timothy Byrne. Alyssa Callister. John Doyle. Drew Dugal. Alex Dewey. Rachel Gahn. Jeremy Gao. David Garsky. James Greenblatt. Shobit Gupta. Hugh Harris. Sarah Hawkinson. Laura Hoffman. Bryce Hogan. Nicholas Horns. Brad Horace. Justin Hughes. Syed Faraz Al-Jafri. Nivriti J. Tharun Jain. Michael Jennings. Brandon Jernigan. Jeff Kahn. Kyle Kelly. Kate Keppel. Catherine Kesenich. Jyotsna Kanduha. Min Young Kim. Edwin Kingman. Paige Kirkpatrick. Molly Knoll. Hans Kramer. Annie Lanson. Tui Lei. Ying Li. Wes Lilja. Amy Liu. Aaron Liu. Matthew Malcolm. Harsh Mankad. Eric Mayer. Matthew Miller. Christine Mugi. David Munyon. Ryan Nguyen. Quinn Nguyen. Dustin Nides. Zach Nielsen. Tim O'Neill. Daniel J. O'Neill. Trent Okers. Todd Olin. Michael Padilla. Stephen John Palmer. Robert Paulus. Andrew Peterson. Piyush Prasant. Brian Prestegard. Zach Rhodes. Vincent Rother. Mona Lisa Saha. Sibi Samuel. Svetlana Sandberg. Heidi Sandell. Belisa Sawyer. Jennifer Schlossman. Parker Schultz. David Scherter. Jay Song. Sean Spence. Charles Stewart. Dhruv Suhag. Lee Sun. Yisha Shuri. Janice Sweer. Rob Tinkham. Rodolfo Trigueros. Andrew Sai. Han Yu Tu. David Unjum. Matt Van Susteren. Bhaskar Vijay Kumar. Duke Vu. Sarah Walsh. Catherine Wang Yung. Kaizen Young. Joseph Watson. Luke Wilcox. Jan Williamson. David M. Wojcik. Raphael Huang. Will the candidates for the degree of Master of Business Administration from the part-time program please come forward as directed by the marshals? Regent Broad, Dean Zahir, on behalf of the faculty, the Carlson School presents the 2015 candidates for the degree of Master of Business Administration from the part-time program. Andrea Adu. Christina Ahmed. Fabio Almeida. Emily Aman. Brad Ames. Joel Arneson. Mary Ann Auld. Zachary Oxier. Julian Bartholo. Stephanie Bowden. Ben Becker. Elizabeth Hayden Benz. Abigail Bonin. Derek Bonello. Kelly Botenberg. Blake Allen Brosa. Laura Lee Brown. Douglas Michael Carlson. Kelly Carlson. Charu Chadha. John Costello. Reed Craigmile. Christina Dahlheimer. Garrett Davis. Catherine Decker. William Derrick. Michael Discala. Joseph Daberkey. Lindsay Ann Doyle. Jeremy Druckmiller. Amanda Duro. Jitana Early. Adam Eckhart. Brett Eliason. Crystal Fenson. Heidi Michelle Flatten. Chris Ford. Matt Frischman. Rachel Gass. Bradley George Gurdon. Patrick Grant. Ravi Shankar Guruswamy. Peter Halverson. Kyle Hawkins. Whitney Heber. Lindsay Heffern, John Hegman, Preston Heinz, Nicholas Heinz, Ezra Henson, Derek Hooten, Brian Johnson, Brittany Nicole Johnson, Dwayne Johnson, Kristen Johnson, Ann Kalinowski, Fedja Katchman, Ryan Keys, Kelly Keys, David Keppel, Jonathan Kaler, Bethany Deborah Kellerin, Nicole Krautbauer, Andrew Keffler, Patrick Connell, Michael Kunz, Lindsay D. Lane, Christopher Lee, Kristen Lenander, Frank Leo, Tedmund Leung, Michael Linder, Troy Loken, Matthew Mannix, Rachel Marsh, Robert McCann, Robert McChain, Paul McGee, Abby L. McGuire, Carrie McGrew, Natalia Melendez, Cody Miller, Ryan Mitchell, Topaz Morrison, Jessica Mostek, Samantha Christine Muraski, Janelle Merlowski, Matthew Nelson, Srikanth Nitala, Kai Wynn, Sean O'Neill, Eric Olson, Carlos Ortega, Pamela Osland, Ann Passon, Anthony Pesavento, Thad Radul, Marie L. Rainey, Aaron Rocker, Vivek Rowell, Kelsey Ryder, Eric Roach, Paul Stevenson Roberts, Kellen Dylan Rohr, Brian Rosette, Tracy Rudine, Heather Christine Nichols Reeks, Nicole Chisel, Michael Scott, Ashish Srinastava, Sid Stroff, Logan Sohn, Ahmed Moody Solomon. Daniel Sung. Erica Strangheiner. Misha Suman. Naomi Sundalias. Eric Siebisma. Burke Tosh. Bonnie Till. Laura Tonietto. Travis Troutman. Janice Villamor. Benjamin Volden. Shannon Waite. Michael Warner. Janelle Wenzel. Joshua Witt. William Workman. Jeff Wren. Aurora Young. Willifred Zeruhu. James Zass.
Will the candidates for the degree of Master of Business Administration from the Executive Program please come forward as directed by the marshals? Regent Broad, Dean Zahir, on behalf of the faculty, the Carlson School presents the 2015 candidates for the degree of Master of Business Administration from the Executive Program. Jill Ahern. Melissa Allison. Uday Anumala-Chetty. Travis Barkby. Marie Becker. Amber Christensen. Justin Clarine. Aaron K. Dady. Kelsey Elizabeth Dillon. Fred J. Dufault. Jason Eastman. Laurent Fréquent. Salmi Govindan. Ben Granley. Jay Gupta. Mark Hesser. Chad Hofus. Matt Hughes. Yon Gon Jung. Angie Kavalaski. Nicholas Corrent. Elizabeth Linskug. Hu Lu. Ramesh Mani. Anne Marciniak. Shanti Mariappan. Daniel Owen. Chandrasekhar Paidi. Ravi Rangasamy. Susan Rankin. Mark Ringkob. Michael Rogers. Benjamin Rosasin. Paul Rose. Alex Schuldmeier. Jennifer Schultz. Trushar Kumar Shah. Gurvinder Singh. Ed Sissenbath. Michael Stewart. Jessica Sylvester. Jean Tenuzo. Brian Tucker. Kara Weiner. Noel Wells. Will the candidates for the degree of Master of Business Administration from the Global Executive Program in China please come forward as directed by the marshals? At this time, the Carlson School invites Professor Michael Houston, Associate Dean of Carlson Global Initiatives, to the certificate table for the presentation of the Master of Business Administration degrees for the China and Vienna Executive MBA programs. Joining him at the certificate table for the presentation of degrees is Professor Yanming Wang from the China Executive MBA program. Joining me at the readers' table to present the candidates is Eric Luo, Executive Director of the China Executive MBA program. Regent Broad, Dean Zahir, on behalf of the faculty of the Carlson School, presents the 2015 candidates for the degree of Master of Business Administration from the Global Executive MBA program in China.
Chen Ying, Chen Ying, Deng Yaogen, Gao Guanyan, Han Tangqi, Huang Jing, Li Kaibing, Li Jingchong, Li Ni, Li Sengling,林君平、刘勇、Michael 卢、欧明熙、Andrew Rogers、施立明、田国生、田涛、Arrigo Vicari、王希乐、王一飞、雍家勇、杨连运、赵文新、赵雪竹、周丽丽、
Will the candidates for the degree of Master of Business Administration from the Global Executive Program in Vienna please come forward as directed by the marshals? Joining me at the readers' table is Manfred Buchner, Program Manager, Vienna Executive MBA Program. Regent Broad, Dean Zahir, on behalf of the faculty, the Carlson School presents the 2015 candidates for the degree of Master of Business Administration from the Global Executive Program in Vienna.
Edwin Ambare. Ivan Andreev. Gero Dittrich. Tanya Falter, Damir Fetahacic, Christian Flegar, Marius Volker, Jan Gero, Lorenz Georgi, Samira Golestani Yue, Mohamed Goda, Igor Gridnev, Alex Harasic, Elena Ilina, Rita Yakush, Evgeny Karpekin, Roland Kastner, Bernhard Kühnel, Dmitri Kurpekov, Alexandre Le Christ, Konstantin Liakov, Ali Mamoudian, Joel Meyer, René Moser, Markus Müllegger, Mario Niederwolfsgruber, Maria Novakovic, Jaroslav Okatrin, Leonel Oliviera, Sergei Posukin, Andrea Bromberger, Pavel Riemann, Nicolas Alfonso Rodriguez Giraldo, Michael Rohrmeier, Christian Schleifer-Heingärtner, Roland Schreiner, Christoph Seebauer, Chetan Suresh, Bestikül Tokas, Ivan Walchownik, Ryan van Gotham, Thomas Walter, Stefan Ziegelberg.
Will the candidates for the Master of Arts in Human Resources and Industrial Relations degree please come forward as directed by the marshals? At this time, the Carlson School invites Professor Avner Ben-Nur, Director of Graduate Studies, and Stacy Depner-Hove, Director of the Masters in HRIR program, to the certificate table for the presentation of degrees. Regent Broad, Dean Zahir, on behalf of the faculty, the Carlson School presents the 2015 candidates for the degree of Master of Arts in Human Resources and in Industrial Relations. Courtney Egerter, Na An, Bruno Armani, Richard Austin, Shui Bai, Jessica Bienert, Jana Cinnamon, Angela Cowles, Michelle Davidsaver, Maria Davi, Victoria Flores Salazar, Alton Grishek, Jia Guo, Cynthia Ann Heisen, Allison Hoffman, Li Hong Jiang, Shan Jiang, Su-un Jung, Lauren Kelly, Laura Kern, Young Ko, Katrina Coplin, Courtney Kramer, Elizabeth Quay, Vanessa Lal, Alexis Lorky, Liang Ma, Jesse Mail, Brock Meyer, Lisa Minshall, Jake Monahan, Anne Desiree Monetes, Sarah Muzanar, Yatunde Oluwatui, Jonathan Osborne, Emily Payne, Elizabeth Elaine Reynolds, Shayna Rother, Abigail Rosnick, Philip Rumble, Troy Sabinen, Chong Shear, Margaret Shoemaker, Stanislav Stanchichovsky, Jennifer Steggy, Nicole Stratman, Tiwo Simala, Michelle Tu, Rachel Marie Ulrich, Chia Chia Wang, Jin Tong Wang, Donna Wright Melcher, Jiaten Young, Ha-Chung Yoon, Kyle Zettel, Jian Zhang, Yunyun Zheng, Li Zhu,
Will the candidates for the Master of Accountancy degree please come forward as directed by the marshals? At this time, the Carlson School invites Larry Calio, Director of the Master of Accountancy program, to the certificate table for the presentation of degrees. Regent Broad, Dean Zahir, on behalf of the faculty, the Carlson School presents the 2015 candidates for the degree of Master of Accountancy. James Arneson, Samuel Baker, Shiyun Deng, Wendy Deng, Scott Ellers, Shuda Gao, Kevin Gorman, Jackson Hall, Yanfei Hong, Emmanuel Herve, Alex Horner, Yujin Huang, Samantha Ide, Warda James Hester, Mark Jennings, Amanda Koss, Adam Kern, Jingjing Li, Xiong Li, Lu Yi, Stephen Lust, Stephen Lutz. Brian McCallum. Jacqueline Merriam. Zach Moreno. Kelly Morris. Ahmed Nejah. Gregory Northrup. Chase Neisted. Nicholas Padosh. Michelle Marie Panning. Nun Farm. Ashley Reitmeyer. Jingrong Ren. Jesse Stam. Judy Sung. Vincent Voss. Mingji Wang. Nathan Weiland. Lancho Wu. Yi Wu. Hanyang Sharon Chu. Cheng Yi. Lu Yu. Jacob Adair. New program.
Is this a new program? What program are you?
Okay. Will the candidates now for the Masters of Business Taxation degree come forward as directed? At this time, the Carlson School invites Paul Gutterman, Director of the Master of Business Taxation program, to the certificate table for the presentation of degrees. Regent Broad, Dean Zahir, on behalf of the faculty, the Carlson School presents the 2015 candidates for the degree of Master of Business Taxation. Jacob Adair. Catherine Alm. Jessica Doman. Danielle Dutoy. Yiqing Guan. Saucy Lee. Annalie Lippert. Marina Liu. Maida Nicholson. Yan Kui. Siru Sun. Catherine Turner. Bingyuan Yan. Jia Yang.
Will the candidates for the degree of Master of Science in Business Analytics please come forward as directed by the marshals? At this time, the Carlson School invites Professor Geddes Adomikvicius, Academic Director of the Masters of Science in Business Analytics program, to the certificate table for the presentation of degrees. Regent Broad, Dean Zahir, on behalf of the faculty, the Carlson School presents the first graduating class of 2015 for the degree of Master of Science in Business Analytics. Durga Balasubramanian. Christopher Erickson. Hamza Farouk. Daniel Hari Fisher. Monica Kandewal. Brian Lee. Puneet Lohani. Shin Miao. Bharathwaj Anand. Marshall Duga Fuga. Amitos Pandi. Emily Rong. Shravan Sethi. Parth Shrotri. Jared Sieben. Shrudha Sonawahane. Saketh Varma. Nicholas Stuber. Vivek Vancha. Lekong Wang. Jin Wang. Yidi Wang. Jason White. Dean Zahir, Regent Broad, we have one last graduate.
Ladies and gentlemen, Goldie Gopher!
Goldie Gopher.
Congratulations again to all of you today as you become alumni of the Carlson School of Management at the University of Minnesota. And here to welcome you to the Carlson School's alumni family is Tim Hipsch, President of the Carlson School Alumni Board. Tim Hipsch is Senior Solutions Manager for Supply Chain Field Solutions at General Mills, one of the world's leading food companies. Tim received his Bachelor of Science degree from Minnesota State University in Mankato and his MBA from the Carlson School of Management. Tim is currently President-elect of the Carlson School Alumni Board and will start his term as President in July. Ladies and gentlemen, graduating class of 2015, please join me in welcoming Tim Hipsch.
Good morning. Quick question for you. Show of hands. Who's feeling proud right now? Feeling a sense of accomplishment, a sense of purpose? Great. We have that in common. This is your day, not mine, but I share your feelings. I share your excitement. I'm proud today because I also get to see the fulfillment of something I started years ago. And it was a stretch for me, this thing I did, but I knew it would pay off in the long term. I knew I discovered something that would make a difference. The thing I did 4 years ago, the thing that has me feeling proud on your graduation day was create a scholarship for a Carlson student. Not a huge one. There are certainly bigger scholarships that come from deeper pockets, but I'm a past scholarship recipient myself, and I know that every bit helps. So 4 years ago, I did what I could, and today that recipient crosses the stage and joins me, as do all of you, as a member of the Carlson School alumni. Now, I'm not here today to ask you to start a scholarship, but I will try to sell you on staying connected to the Carlson School and our community in whatever way works for you. If you've got a lunch hour free, attend First Tuesday luncheon. If you work for a company that has a Carlson alumni club, join it. Become a mentor. Join us for Carlson Day at the Races in August. However you do it, keep in touch and let us keep in touch with you. And I promise you, you'll end up as a resource or a mentor or a donor for a student who needs it, just like you did. And then, when they cross the graduation stage, you'll get to feel something like I feel right now. Thank you for that feeling. Thank you for making the Carlson community proud today. And thank you in advance from the students you'll help someday by believing in them the way they believed in you. Congratulations, graduates.
Thank you, Tim, for those words. We couldn't be who we are as a school today without the engagement of alumni, so I deeply appreciate that. Now, will everyone please rise? I think I'm missing something. One moment. I'm sorry. At this time, I would ask you to be seated again. I was on the wrong page. We've got one really important thing left to do, and that's the conferring of the degrees. At this time, I would like to invite Regent Laura Broad to the podium for the conferral of degrees. Will the degree candidates please stand? Regent Broad, on behalf of the faculty of the Carlson School of Management, please stand, just the degree candidates, not everyone. On behalf of the Carlson School of Management, I present to you the Carlson School of Management graduate class of 2015.
Well, it's my honor to be with you today. What an exciting moment in your lives and the lives of all you'll touch moving forward. And I'm sure some of you think that of today as a destination, but it's really a waypoint which is some place on the path to somewhere. And that somewhere is somewhere special because you're a gopher. So congratulations to each and every one of you. And I think this might be the moment you're waiting for. So upon the recommendation of the faculty and by the authority of the Board of Regents of the University of Minnesota, I now confer upon you the degrees for which each of you have qualified. Congratulations to the graduates.
Now, will everyone who is able please stand? And please rise and join Kelsey Dillon, 2015 Carlson Executive MBA graduate, as she leads us in singing Hail Minnesota. The words are on page 24 of your program. Afterwards, please be seated until the graduates and faculty have completely recessed out of the auditorium. I thank you all for coming today and invite you to a celebratory reception immediately following the ceremony in the DQ Club Room of the TCF Bank Stadium, located directly across the street. On behalf of the faculty and staff of the Carlson School, I extend our warmest congratulations to all of you.
Thy